Welcome to the Mindset Lady. This is AJ. I have a master's degree in critical and creative thinking. Also, I have a diploma in coaching. I am currently a mindset coach and also an artist coach. And today we are going to talk about another character from Love is Blind Season 1, CARLTON. In this video, we will see how our brain works when we are worried about things and how we can fight with it or how we can overcome those fears when we are in that moment. First off, I want to say that I'm not diagnosing anybody here. I'm not a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist, and what I am right now watching and commenting on is limited data from Netflix series Love is Blind. There are so many cuts and edits, so there's no way to know what these people are really going through. And the reason I'm doing this is really not to tell that these people are bad people. On the contrary, they're just us. They're ordinary people like us, and we share so many things in common with them. And I want to show you that we are not different, and when we go through these kind of feelings, how we can fight through them or how we can accept ourselves in that moment. And I'm trying to give you some tips on self-help. The reason I chose CARLTON in this episode is because we saw how a good relationship turned into a complete opposite. And at the end, we see our couple getting into a very ugly argument and they broke off their engagement. CARLTON is 34 years old and he's in social media marketing. He comes from Louisiana. Let's see how he describes himself, why he's here.
I had a good night's sleep. I'm ready to date, and it's time to start narrowing it down.
What I realized that when he was commenting and asking questions, it's all about him. Let's look.
Hello?
Hey!
Oh, you sound happy. I wish I could get that type of greeting every day.
I wish I could get that type of greeting every day.
So I want to know, what are some things that stand out about me to you?
I want to know what things stood out to you about me.
Love that you love to travel, because I love to travel as well.
You know, I've never been to Vegas.
I've never been to Vegas, which is okay. I mean, you can say that you have never been to Vegas, but then why don't you ask, how about you? Have you ever been to Vegas? What about you? There's no you element here. I see CARLTON as me a lot.
Look, I've waited for the moment to fall in love for so long that I'm not messing nothing up.
I'm not messing nothing up. This means he's already have the fear of messing things up. It's not a good way of starting a relationship, guys. If you're so scared of something, you call it to yourself. When you start a relationship, you should be excited about it. You should be excited about getting to know each other and explore the relationship. But if you are already scared of messing things up in the beginning, that's a red flag for yourself.
I feel like there's chemistry with Diamond. The way she talks to me, the way she makes me smile.
Look, it's not that the way we talk, but the way she talks to me, the way she makes me smile. By itself, this might not mean anything to you. Saying I like the way she makes me smile or she makes me feel might not be a big problem, but when the things add up in the next sessions, you will realize that this is actually a bad sign.
I've been taught to be strong. I've been taught not to cry. I've been taught to, I come from a strong cloth.
Being strong, looking strong is nothing to do with not to cry. Crying is a natural process of our body, and we need to let our feelings out, because if we don't let them out, then inside they start to hurt us in different ways. We start to rot, actually, because it shows itself as weight gain, or it shows itself like self-sabotage, like drinking excessively, or it can be like stress-related cancer or digestive problems, back pain, migraines. These are all related to stress and feelings that we cannot let out. Those feelings need to be let out. Think about this. How come we are okay with laughing out loud, but when we want to cry out loud, it's not okay? Who told you that? Maybe when you were little, your mom or dad told you that, but it's not the reality. We know that anymore. Now, honestly, the other day I was in the waiting room of my doctor, and I started crying because I was watching something emotional, and like everybody was looking at me and I didn't care because I needed to let those out in that moment. But what I want to tell you here is that Carlton hears the story and Diamond is crying, and the way that he approaches her is not very caring, right? He doesn't say that, oh, I'm sorry you feel this way, or thanks for being vulnerable, or something like some kind of acknowledgement. But we don't see that. We see instead,
Yeah, how do you think I feel? It's like, boys don't cry. Like, that's constantly conditioned in Black men's heads, like, since we're
Yeah.
little boys.
I know.
how do you think I feel? They always said boys don't cry. Again, he's turning the conversation onto himself. Well, boys don't cry was not only told to, of course, Black or whites. Like, it's a general problem with boys in general, men in general. But, you know, as women, we were also told not to cry, especially in front of people.
But sometimes on the inside, I haven't always felt that confident. I want to be loved for who I truly am.
I want to be loved. It's not like I want somebody to love me. The words we choose are very important. And then he also confesses here that he is not always very confident and he feels insecure, which is the point that I wanted to come to since the beginning. When a person doesn't feel enough or worthy or secure, let's say not happy about who they are, that feeling not enough or not whole, like feeling that deep flaw in you, makes you feel like I have to overcompensate. I have to act like I'm so confident so that they don't see my wounds. They don't see those flaws of mine. This is the actually main problem of most of the narcissistic people we see. They feel so flawed inside, they feel so insecure that they're trying to cover that up with overconfidence. And that comes with a little bit of, you know, cockiness, right? Like they look like they are in love with themselves. They always talk about me, me, me. And that's what kind of we see in Carlton here.
My biggest dream is that I finally find a wife who will love me unconditionally, who is kind of like that ride or die.
That kind of made me think that, you know, why unconditionally? What's that word choice for? And then the next sentence actually explained it.
I have a big secret. At one point in my young adult life, I found myself attracted to just hearts, period. Like, it didn't have a gender. It wasn't about sex for me.
If you remember the book that I talked to you about, The Big Leap, in this book, it talks about how we sabotage ourselves. And one of the ways that we sabotage ourselves is keeping big secrets or keeping truths from people that we care or love. And here, Carlton, I'm afraid, is going to fall into this, and he's going to keep this big secret from Diamond. It's okay to be fearful, it's okay to be afraid of the outcome, but also it is not fair to not to tell the person that you're dating and you're thinking serious with about these issues from the get-go. An upper limit problem means we are going to be happy, we are going to be very successful, we are at that threshold. We have an invisible boundary and we are about to cross that boundary, and after that we will have the happiest moment of our lives, but we sabotage ourselves to bring ourselves down. And the ways to bring ourselves down, the first one was, remember, worry, and there was we blame others or we criticize others, which will come with Carlton as well. Getting sick or hurt, squabbling, which means arguing with people, arguing with our loved ones all of a sudden out of nowhere, hiding significant feelings, not keeping agreements, and also not speaking significant truths or keeping secrets from others. Oh, the other one was also deflecting, brushing off compliments. With Carlton, we will see one or two of these, and I'm going to mention as the time comes.
I've fallen in love with this woman. I feel very free. I feel confident in knowing that no matter what I've been through, no matter who I currently am, that there's someone that wants to just weather the storm together.
No matter who I currently am. It's a very interesting sentence if you look at it. Means like he's not happy about who he is at that moment. That's how I feel like. He's feeling flawed. One of the reasons that we hit the upper limit problem, we self-sabotage ourselves, is that because we feel there's fundamentally something wrong with us, and we believe this, and this becomes a real problem in our relationships.
It's what I deserve, and it's amazing.
Here we see all the feelings that CARLTON has and CARLTON wants, and he says that I deserve this, but we never hear things like, I hope I can make her happy, or I hope our lives will be together. It's not like our or we or her, it's always I, and that made me really, really worried.
I have found my forever. I'm not letting any doubt, any insecurities from the past ruin this for me, because it's the best I've ever felt in my life.
Unfortunately, he already knows what's coming, and we say it with our own words. He says that I'm not gonna let any doubt or insecurities from my past ruin for me. Again, if you're so focused on the negative, if you're so worried about these feelings gonna come and make you unhappy in the end, they do. You don't run away from these things. Either you need to work on your thinking, or you need to get rid of these feelings, meaning you need to tell the truth. Talking about your self-doubts or insecurities to your partner, just your partner though, not your partner's family, will also help you. It's going to let you bond even more.
Because it's the best I've ever felt in my life, and no one can take that away from me.
No one can take that away from me. Sometimes these people who self-sabotage themselves, they always feel like there's this villain out there. The world is there to get them, like break their relationships or take their happiness away. But the world doesn't really care about your relationship. What you're doing to your relationship is you are doing it, not the whole world. Because you are creating that world.
You've taught me so much in such a short period of time.
Here, what CARLTON is doing, not what happened, but what he wants to happen. He wishes these things gonna be true. CARLTON's fear is talking.
No fears, just
There was no fears, but no, there is fear.
feeling like I could be myself with you, and
I feel like I cannot be myself with you. I can't, because I couldn't tell you the truth.
no matter what I tell you, you'd accept me, and
No matter what I tell you, I feel like you wouldn't accept me, and this is why I'm not telling you the truth.
not leave me, because I feel that I've been left many times.
I think you will leave me, and this would break me because I have been left many times. He is preparing his partner here so that when he opens up, she will be okay with it.
You make me feel like I won't have to hide anything. I won't have to be anybody other than CARLTON.
You make me feel like I don't have to hide anything, but yet he hides the most important thing that he feels like he needs to say to her. Again, he's lying to himself. He's trying to prepare her for the truth. It's very interesting. It's self-sabotage prep going on here. I think this is the moment that he wanted to tell her, but let's see if he can.
It's very touchy to decide when to reveal my sexuality to Diamond, because I'm just not sure how she'll handle it. I just don't think that I can do it right now. I've experienced rejection in the past by people that I thought would understand. I am afraid to ruin this. My whole life, I've just been craving acceptance.
It's so sad. My whole life I was craving acceptance. This happens, guys, when we don't feel accepted growing up, either by your parents or by your friends. If you feel like you're not worthy to be loved or to be cared, or if you don't feel enough, then we started to feel that this is going to reflect on our relationships as well, and we will seek acceptance. Seeking acceptance all the time, eventually, as we see here, will lead us to the situations that we make mistakes. Being afraid of rejection shouldn't stop you from telling the truth, because you know that that truth will be revealed one day. Maybe at that point things will be at a point of no return. Here, I think he knows this as well, and he's sabotaging his own relationship. Because sooner or later, it doesn't matter if Diamond cannot deal with this fact or cannot accept this fact. Honestly, it's going to be the earlier the better.
Means I just hope that I make him smile. And I hope that he just finds me very attractive. And
look, she says, I hope I make him smile. Do you see the difference now between Carlton and Diamond?
My biggest worry is that someone that I'm super in love with and want to marry, I won't be able to walk down the aisle because she just can't be married to someone like me.
I'm so worried that she cannot be married to someone like me. Someone like me, when we say this, we are downgrading ourselves. We are feeling that we are low, at a lower point than our partner. Why? Because you have feelings for both sex? Like, this also shows me that there is a deep self-worth problem here as well. When we feel fundamentally flawed, is, as I said before, we kind of feel that the way we are not to be loved. We don't deserve to be loved.
I know that I'm different. I know that, like, my past is different.
And he says that I know that I'm different. Everyone is different in their own sense, right? There is nothing wrong about being different, guys. Now, they go on a honeymoon after the proposal, and this is their first night in Mexico. And here you will see weird behavior from Carlton. All of a sudden, as if he wants to start an argument. Remember, there were different ways of self-sabotaging. One of them was worry, which he had, keeping a secret from loved one, which he had, and the other one is starting an argument out of nowhere.
I had to pick the craziest person in the house.
you thought I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy. I knew that from day one. You better be happy you're pretty.
Oh, so I get away with stuff because I'm pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would have been punched it a long time ago.
Punched it?
Punched it, like leave.
Carlton is definitely a different energy than what we had in the pod. I don't know if he's nervous or if he's uncomfortable with something.
Yes, girl, you know it. He's both uncomfortable with something and he's nervous because he's nervous of losing her. So this is what we do, guys. This is the book definition of self-sabotage. When we are worried about losing something that's so good for us, then we act towards it in a way that we cause it to end, and we sabotage that relationship or sabotage that career or whatever. In this case, what we see, Carlton is acting weird and he says things that he wouldn't normally say, really get on the nerves of Diamond a little bit.
Every moment that I spend with her, it's in the back of my head. If I don't roll it out the right way, it could just turn into a catastrophe where she just can't deal with it.
Here he says that, I'm so nervous about this secret. The secret is eating me inside, and this is why I'm acting weird, basically. Again, guys, if you keep that secret in you for a long time or longer than you should, then it's going to sabotage you. Now, he eventually has the courage to tell Diamond what's going on. But because of that nervousness, because of expecting the worst from Diamond, whatever comes out of Diamond's mouth is not understood correctly by Carlton, and also he misreads her body language because that's what he keeps thinking. Oh, this is gonna end. She's going to leave me,
But it's like certain things are like always in the back of my head.
Certain things like what?
Like the past.
You can see how difficult it is for him to talk about these things because in the past probably he had really bad experiences. But guys, this doesn't mean that your bad experiences will keep repeating itself. Please don't think that your past defines your today and today defines your tomorrow.
What is it that you want to open up to me about?
I don't feel like you're gonna want me after this information.
What information?
I don't feel like you're going to want me after this information. Guys, if you have worries about these, please don't tell this to your partner just before you reveal whatever you want to reveal. Because maybe they are not even thinking about that. Maybe they will have a very different reaction than you think. But when you say something like this, you are programming their mind into thinking that way. This is how human mind works. They will see the situation worse than already is.
I have dated both genders.
What you mean, like man and female?
Male and female, yeah. It's a lot to accept. I get it. It's okay. Like, I have my fears. I've gone through the thought of, fuck, you met the love of your fucking life. And now.
Look, Diamond is just looking, guys. There's nothing that, okay, she's not smiling, but she didn't yell at him, or she didn't get up and leave, and she didn't do eye blocking, or she didn't roll her eyes. She's just looking at him. She's trying to digest what she just heard. And he's so worried that he goes like, a lot to accept. I get it. It's okay. Like, he's already defensive about it.
My question is, how do you know I'm the love of your life? Do you ever feel like you need to go date
Nah.
another
No.
man?
No.
With a very calm voice, just to understand his headspace, she's asking this very normal, very realistic question. Do you feel like you want to go out and date others? Like, how are you certain about me? I want to know. These are the questions that CARLTON had to be prepared for, right? Because if you're going to reveal something like that, you might think about several questions that you might get. But he doesn't act normal because he has so much fear, so much worry, and that caused him to self-sabotage.
It's a lot to accept.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at you right now. And
No, I'm listening. I'm
no,
listening.
but I feel like your eyes are so blank.
I mean,
it's
it's
like
a lot to take
I know.
in.
I feel like your eyes are so blank, guys. When you reveal something like that, like a secret, don't overread people's reactions because they are different than you. And you don't know them that well, especially behind the wall. Like, how come you can know what kind of body language she has and what means what? Your worry will tell you that, oh no, she's down now, she's gonna leave me, I knew it. You know, you're gonna feel this way, but trust me, this is not how it works. This is your worry talking. What were you expecting? Is she going to like just smile and it's okay, baby, I don't care, you know? These are really important topics that you had to discuss in the pods, but now you're telling her on your honeymoon. So you need to be a little bit open-minded about the responses you will get, and you need to let them leave their feelings as they come. You feel comfortable crying, they should be able to cry too. You're getting mad, like you use F word twice while you're explaining something to her. You need to let her use F word as well. You shouldn't get offended by your partner's reaction when you tell them something very important about you. You need to just give them some time to digest and maybe even talk the next day.
I know. Fuck!
These kind of angry reactions, guys, are not okay because this shows a deep insecurity, and unfortunately in the future this kind of behavior can lead into violence. I'm not saying CARLTON is a violent person. I'm not saying he's violent in his relationships, but these type of insecurities and these type of reactions to arguments are not a good sign. They are a red flag. This person definitely needs to go through his issues and his maybe past, and he needs to resolve this issue before you become a couple. The correct way would be here, Diamond, I just gave you this information. I'm going to give you some time to digest. I understand it's hard to take in. I wanted to tell you before, but I couldn't because I was afraid to lose you. If I could go back in time, probably I would change it. I want to really marry you. I really love you. I think you are the best partner I've ever met in my life, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I have never been this sure in my life before. I just want you to know this before you think deep into this. That's it. That's what he had to do, but instead he overreacted, and he reacted very defensively and even offensive, I think. And this is not going to help his relationship This is a self-sabotage. In episode 4, we see that Diamond wakes up the next morning. They spend the night in different rooms. Diamond says, I feel blindsided, but I love him and I want to be with him, but I need to talk to him, which is a very reasonable thing to say. She feels blindsided because she didn't know about this until the honeymoon, which you would feel blindsided too, because like, why didn't you tell me this before? Because then you feel like, what else could he be hiding from me?
I feel like I kept it real from you since day one. I personally feel that you left out who you really are.
I get that. You probably feel betrayed.
I kind of feel you kind of played the experiment in a way. I feel that. I feel that you weren't honest with me from the get-go. I felt like that should have been established.
I was honest.
She's confronting him, but the way Carlton approaches to this conversation is not in a very healthy way, because he says that, I never had issues with girls. And then Diamond asks really good questions. She asks, why did you lie then? Why did you lie to me then?
It's never been an issue with girls. It's never.
Then why did you tell me in the beginning?
Because in the beginning, you will prejudge me.
Carlton is trying to get away from the conversation. Guys, when you're having deep conversations like these, when you are trying to resolve an important issue in your relationship, don't try to get away from it, because that's not a good way of solving problems. You need to assess the situation, try to see what your partner is saying from an objective perspective, without any secondary or tertiary meanings behind it. Try to see other person's concern, where she's or he's coming from, and what actually made you lie or made you hide things. Tell them, be vulnerable. But here what he's doing is he's avoiding vulnerability. He's avoiding that wound that hurts so much that if he exposes that, he knows that he's gonna hurt so much. And he's so afraid that she's gonna leave him, he's in a defensive mode. But this will cause her to leave him in the first place. Again, this is self-sabotage. Let's finish it, and then I'm going to tell you what could have been a healthier way.
If I would have told you on the first date, would you have really given me a chance? You wouldn't have.
I'd rather you have told me up in front.
Preconceptions. If I told you in the beginning, you wouldn't say yes to me. You wouldn't. You don't know, guys. When you seek acceptance, when you are afraid of losing someone too much, unfortunately, we make so many mistakes along the way, and that hurts us in the end. And other people.
Do you really think that I would be here if I didn't have real feelings? Whatever. Show your true colors. I've shown mine.
No, you haven't shown your true colors. Not from the beginning.
So instead of convincing his partner about his love and about his feelings, about his reservations and his purposes coming to this experiment and how he feels about Diamond, he goes like, show your true colors.
And
You're so defensive with it, though.
Because I'm not going to subject myself to that. I have to be defensive.
I'm just
Nobody
saying
has fought
how
for me
I feel
except
about
me.
it. Nobody fought for me either.
You're so defensive with it, though. That's what Diamond says. Yeah, chill. I don't want you to get defensive. I just need some answers. And you're not giving them to me right now because of your defensive mode. See, I'm not going to subject myself to that. It's like my wound, you're touching my wound. You're putting salt on my wound. I'm not going to let that happen. No, I prefer to sabotage this beautiful relationship to showing my wound to you.
So don't try to play the victim here, okay?
It's insulting me at this point.
It's insulting you?
Yeah,
so
it
this
is.
whole process is not insulting to me?
Well, I'm okay
but so
with
you
or
don't care
without.
no feelings about
I'm
how
okay
you took me
with
through
or
this.
without this situation. I am okay.
Again, being very defensive and attacking somebody. Now we are on the third level of self-sabotage. We had worry, we had squabbling, which starting arguments from nowhere, and the third one is blaming others. Now he's in blaming mode.
Like, seriously, you're taking off your ring because I'm being honest with you. You'd rather a man lie to you about who he's been with or his past? Like, that's insane. I don't need that type of energy in my life.
You're taking off your ring because I'm being honest with you. No, she's taking off her ring because you're getting defensive and not talking to her, not listening to her, being rude to her. This is why that ring is going off.
I ain't. You
I
not
gave
the
you
one.
your ring back.
I don't give a fuck about a ring. Fuck a ring. Fuck a ring. This is why I don't deal with bitches like you.
Oh, I'm a bitch now.
Again, it's a violent and exaggerated gesture. Throwing that ring into the pool. Again, that's not a good sign, guys. That's a red flag in the relationship. Now, the B word. This is the last step of sabotaging your relationship. You really want her to leave you. You become the meanest person possible.
She has proven herself to be ignorant. She has proven herself to be stereotypical. I feel betrayed just as much as she feels betrayed. So fuck her.
When we lose someone that we really wanted but we couldn't get, we always tend to say bad things about them because that makes us feel better. I mean, no, I'm not saying in general all of us. It's all about, again, feeling insecure about us. Like if we don't trust our feelings, if we don't feel worthy, that's what we do in the end. We try to say them, yeah, you know, she wasn't for me anyways, she wasn't that beautiful anyways, or she wasn't that good for me anyways. That makes us feel better about ourselves if we have insecurities or self-worth issues. I'm not going to play the whole thing. What happens though? They broke up. Diamond leaves the resort right away the next day. 2 more episodes, guys. In the reunion, Carlton has a self-reflection, and let's see what he says.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good. I think that in that moment, I went back into my shell. It was a shell that was difficult breaking out of, not to mention in front of the world.
He mentions the shell that he created. As I said, he doesn't want to become vulnerable. He doesn't want to show his wound. He's not ready yet, and that hurts a lot. So he decided to stay in his shell, and that created this defensive bubble. Diamond couldn't get through it, and suddenly that bubble bursted out and their relationship ended. So it is good that he's aware of the fact that he has this shell and he has this defensive mode going on, and I'm really hoping that he's doing something about this, because in the next episode we see that he is not over it. He still exhibits a similar kind of behavior, and that really worries me, honestly. Let's see what he says when he meets Lauren over a drink. And mind you guys, this is 2 years after the pods.
I haven't honestly done a great job at handling it. So
I mean, it's a lot to handle.
He says that I didn't do a great job handling the situation, and Lauren is being kind and says, like, you know, it's a lot to handle, so it's okay.
You know?
It is, but like when you imagine like trying to handle it and feeling like you're alienated from everyone else.
But then Carlton says, I was alienated from everyone else. Like, he felt left out.
The people in our circle don't fuck with me. They don't.
Well, I feel like if they don't fuck with you, then that's them. They don't need to be in your life.
So Laura says, like, you know, you don't have to be friends with them. It's like, but you know, I want them to love me.
But do you not see how my energy of trying to explain myself?
You don't have to explain yourself.
Again, seeking acceptance. Guys, we feel these kind of deep feelings of acceptance when we were not loved when we were kids by our parents. This is straight up, I'm going to say this. I don't know Carlton's parents, but if you don't feel accepted, if you don't feel loved and cared for, this creates this deep pain in ourselves that we don't feel like we are worthy of love or acceptance. Usually with dominant parents, this can be seen, or some parents or one or both parents not showing enough love or care to the kid when they were small. That might be the whole problem here, but it's hard to say because I know nothing about Carlton's family or history. Again, he's seeking acceptance. And when he doesn't get it from the pod friends, he feels alienated. He is now talking about the lack of support after the whole incident and how he feels rejected. That's the whole thing. Feeling rejected. If you are afraid of rejection a lot in your life, you will always get rejected until you break this curse. How do you break this curse? You go to therapy.
That's
yes, you do when you want to be accepted by your friends or people that you started.
You need to be accepted by you.
I do accept me.
Right.
But when other people don't accept you, it's like...
Actually, he thinks that he accepts himself, but he doesn't love or accept himself yet. From here, that's what I understand. Because when you love yourself and you respect yourself, when you feel worthy and enough, you don't seek acceptance from others. Yes, you still need interaction. You still need to, spend time with others. We feed off of other people's energy. That's true. But we don't seek acceptance, or we don't get our value or worth from others. That's a different thing.
See, this group is, we're all on this beach and I'm in the middle of the water. There's sharks surrounding me and I'm screaming for help and they're not trying to save me.
How are you so giggly and happy while one of your group is hurt? Usually we see this kind of behavior in people who wants to be center of the attention because they don't feel loved or cared for. So when they are at the center of their attention, then they feel worthy, but that's a temporary state. It's going to fade away very quickly. And this is why when Lauren says like, don't worry about them, don't think about these things, because she has that kind of mindset, but CARLTON feels like she's dismissing him instead of acknowledging him. But she's not there mentally. She's very secure. She loves herself. She doesn't have any self-worth issues. So this doesn't really speak to her. So poor Lauren is trying to give her own perspective, but that's not going to work on CARLTON. His whole purpose here to show himself like a victim and get some affection and care.
Here's the thing, I don't think that she's gonna be able to love somebody like myself.
Who are you to say that though?
I don't think she's going to love anybody else like me. Again, this kind of, I don't want to use that word because that word is very dangerous, but almost narcissistic thing, part of CARLTON is coming out again.
Put yourself in her shoes.
In the Black community, yeah, let's do that.
What do you mean, biphobia?
Yeah.
Put yourself in her shoes. In the Black community, yeah. Again, he is the victim. I am always the victim.
The main thing was that maybe she wanted you to tell her sooner. So,
But why is she victimized?
I didn't say she was a victim.
That's so funny because he goes like, well, why is she victimized? I'm the victim here. Why is she victimized? When people become emotionally abusive, the first thing they do is to show themselves as victims. In abusers' mentality, being a victim is a key thing, and I just wanted to say that while we were just right here in the conversation.
People like me don't get to bounce back from the situations that heterosexual people get to bounce back from.
So now, first, the POTS people. Second, the Black community. Now the third, heterosexuals. They are the enemy. I am the victim. Do you see how many times he's creating scenarios that he is a victim and he's trying to convince Lauren that, but Lauren is too smart to fall into this.
Yeah.
You seem angry. You seem defensive.
Yeah.
I was talking about people on the cast directly.
Fuck the cast.
But you're talking about...
Who's the cast? The problem with the cast is that the cast is so much trying to be the cast. But
And here, let's remember, one of the self-sabotaging behavior was blaming others, criticizing Black community, criticizing heterosexuals, criticizing your pod friends.
I've taken up for you more than anybody in your comments when people was coming against you. Did you not see the people that you blocked that I was
Why are you
arguing
getting upset?
against?
You got on the defensive.
No, because Lauren didn't fall for it, didn't say that, oh, I am sorry for you. Yes, you are the really victim here, because she didn't acknowledge that. She didn't accept his theories. Now he's coming at her. Now she's the villain and he's the victim. Wow. Because he couldn't get what he was looking for, he leaves the place. In CARLTON's history, what I'm trying to tell you is self-sabotage works in different ways, and we see at least 4 of them in CARLTON. He was worrying too much about one thing from the very beginning, and he was holding a secret, a big secret from his loved one, and that was eating him up. Plus insecurities, plus self-worth issues and seeking acceptance created this huge shell that he was describing it as shell that in the end caused a lot of problem. It caused him to get defensive, angry, and alienate it. If you are suffering from these kind of feelings, please seek out some help from a good therapist. Usually this goes back to our childhood, our relationship with our parents. Knowing those issues is the first step, and second step is working on them. And there are two ways to do that. I prefer you to do both. The first one is mindfulness. Why am I thinking this way? Is this my childhood trauma, or is this authentic feeling that I'm feeling right now? Just assess yourself in the moment. Am I getting defensive? Am I being afraid to be vulnerable? What should I say in these cases? You need to study. Like if I feel like somebody is getting into my shell, what kind of things that I should tell them so that, you know, I don't burn the bridges. The second thing that you can do is meditation. And there are so many meditations out there for self-worth and self-compassion, and spending time with people who make you feel that you're worthy and you're loved and you're cared for. Don't just like go into your shell and just close yourself up. Try to be around the people that you love and you feel cared, of course. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I'll see you in another video with another character from Love is Blind. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.